Right, hello and welcome back to another episode of Cars and Engineering. In today's episode I'm going to be poly bushing the gearbox mount. Stay tuned. Now, as I said in the intro, I'm going to be DIY poly bushing the engine mounts on the Polo, mainly because all the other options are incredibly expensive and don't actually offer any substantial upgrades for the price point they're offering. So literally I've got like a £25 kit with some mixing jugs and some stirrers. I've got the engine mount off of the Polo. You can see it is incredibly worn. It's got a lot of flex to it, which obviously then translates to the car. This is the gearbox side. I've got to do one side at a time, so I'm going to do this, let it cure overnight, put it back on the car, take the other one off, do it overnight, let it go back onto the car. So I've currently got a jack supporting the gearbox side of the engine. I was going to buy some new ones in these, but they're about 60 quid each. Obviously these are free and they're already on the car, so I might as well do that with them. I've just got some polyurethane Duroflex 85. I think the 85 is a slightly higher compound. I think it's like a 90 Shaw, not a 60 Shaw. Shaw is the measurement of the rubber and how much it flexes by. So yeah, you can see, as I've said, these are incredibly dirty and incredibly worn. There's even cracks along them. Part of me would like to cut all this out and completely polybush the entire thing, but what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to trim some of this out and then block one side off, use some aluminium foil, make it as airtight as I possibly can, try and block every single nook and cranny, and then we're going to have to get to pouring. Right, the first thing I need to do is to actually clean the mount itself. I'm going to put some plastic down or something underneath so I don't ruin my bench. And all rags should do the trick. Just going to spray some degreaser on the part. You can see how dirty it was. It was absolutely filthy. Right, we're going to brake clean that off now, outside the garage, and then I'll come back. Right, before we go any further, I'm going to say to you the benefits of poly bushing an engine mount. Now, this is an old one. This has seen about 160,000 miles now on the Polo. Quite a lot has been changed now, but these are one of the original factory parts. And you can see it has had a very hard life. You can see the amount of flex. Now this sits between the gearbox, and two bolts go down here into the gearbox, and then it gets bolted to the chassis with 3 bolts here. You can see how much flex is in that. It's not as much as I thought there would be, but it's still considerable. Like I said in the intro as well, there are many companies out there that will happily take like £400 or £500 off of you, like British pounds, for billet aluminium magical engine mounts, which are guaranteed to give you this and guaranteed to give you that. Now, there's nothing wrong with them. In my opinion, they are kind of a waste of money, unless you've got some top spec Lamborghini or Golf R or something along them lines. Even then, the money they want from people is absolutely insane. So this is a cheap, easy DIY project you can do in a weekend. Or you could even buy some second-hand mounts for your vehicle off of eBay or wherever you can find them. Either cut the rubber out and go full track spec, or do what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim this rubber up, get rid of some excess I don't need, so it's still structurally, this aluminium bit in the middle is still structurally where it's meant to be, but it will be absolutely solid as rock. And I reckon you could probably do this in a weekend for under £30–40. So yeah, it's worth a try. At the end of the day, even if you muck up, these mounts are relatively cheap. The Vibrotechnic ones and things like that, they are a lot of money for something that's probably very well engineered, but parts wise you're looking at probably £50–60 of parts, because all they authentically use is, or all they effectively use is billet aluminium in this same sort of configuration with a great big block of polyurethane. And these factory mounts do the job. All you have to do is fill them with polyurethane. So the difference between this and a Vibrotechnic mount or one of the likes would be you wouldn't feel it in the car. You may be able to see it on the quarter mile time or something like that, but you would not see it on the car. There are downsides to obviously poly bushing your car as well. These are designed for comfort, hence the movement. If you make them more solid, you're going to feel more engine through the car. And by that I mean you're going to feel more vibrations through the steering wheel and through the actual chassis itself. So that's something you've got to sort of look out for. But if you're doing this from a track spec orientation, that's not going to be an issue to you, because a little bit of vibration on track isn't really something you worry about, unless obviously you're about to lose a wheel or something, then obviously do worry about it. But yeah, in my opinion, this is probably one of the best bang for buck things you can do, because you will notice it completely straight away. You will notice how much crisper the engine feels, and this will aid in acceleration because the engine doesn't have to torque itself to actually start powering the wheels. There'll be less rattles and things like that. To a degree, there'll be less rattles in the engine bay, for instance, like worn out gearbox mounts or engine mounts or whatever. But no, it's in my opinion one of the best things you can do for a low budget build, even a high budget build. This polyurethane rubber, Duraflex casting rubber, you can get many different colours for it as well. I've just left it, it's just going to be like a sort of beigey colour, I think. I couldn't be arsed with it, just thought fill them up, be done with it. Nice, cheap, easy mod to do in a weekend. But I'm going on with myself here. It's time to now trim the rubber down somewhat and then figure out how much Duraflex we need to put inside this mount, because you don't want to get halfway through a pour and then be like, oh no, I need to quickly mix some more up. You can do that, but you want to ideally mix it up in one batch, pour it in one batch, and then you're done. Right, so I'm going to trim this up a little bit.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
Right, as you might be able to see, I've cut some little fillets out of places where there were like cracks or anything like that. I've also scored the rubber as well, so that the urethane has something to bite onto. It should be a relatively easy pour. I just need to tape off the backside and then get it level and then pour it. Now this is aluminum tape or aluminium tape. I'm going to use it to seal off one side so that when I pour it, it doesn't come flying out the other side. So yeah, it's a very versatile thing, aluminium tape. These are quite a lot. It's used for like insulation and that as well, on like air ducting systems, but you can also use it to insulate under the bonnet, which I will be doing in an upcoming video, so make sure you're subscribed down here, and a couple of my other videos will be up here. But yeah, let's get to taping up the engine mount. Right, so this is the mount all taped up. The great thing with aluminum tape or aluminium tape is it is very foldable. You can get it to all kinds of angles, but this is the side that's all folded up. There shouldn't be any leaks coming from here because it's a sealed unit. Purely, I need to now is, well, what I need to do now purely is mount it like that and pour the urethane into the little gaps. Right, so I've got the mould set up over here. It's basically level. It's going to be helpful to pour it because it's going to sort of pour it like it's going to pull, gravity's going to pour it this way. I've got the Duraflex. It's a 2-part polyurethane. Got my little super cups, and they tell you like if you need a measurement like 2 to 1, 3 to 1. These are 2 to 1s. Yeah, fuel cure time is 27 days. Demold time is an hour. It should cure. It should cure amber coloured. Pot life is about 4.5 minutes to 5.5 minutes. Shore hardness is 83 to 87 shore. The mixed ratio is by weight, so it's 100 parts of A and 100 parts of B. I have it on here, so 100 parts of one, 100 parts of the other. You've got A and B on the cup, so it's might be quite hard to see. But yeah, the cup's going to make it easier. I think we're going to need probably about 400 mils to do this part, so I'm going to mix them up, start pouring it, and if I need some more, I'm going to have to quickly make some more. Alright, that's the A side in. Now, just the B side.
hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
Right, that's B. I now need to mix the hell out of it. Right, now it's all mixed. It's basically just pouring it into the mould. I can feel it getting warm already. And now we can start to pour it in. Just make sure there's no leaks underneath. None that I can see so far. As you can probably imagine, it's going off already. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of overspill. What we have to do now is basically wait and let it cure. And basically while this one's curing, I can go and work on the other one inside the car. Well, the other one's still on the car. I think that's oil filled, so I'm going to have to drain the oil out of that and clean it. But this can now cure overnight and I'll come back to it tomorrow. Right, so as you can see here, it is hard, or on the way to being fully hard. There's a lot less flex in it, but right now I need to break it off on this little stand and hopefully now get rid of any excess that we don't need around the mount. I don't think it's moulded that badly, to be fair. It is still a little bit squishy, but it's only had about 2 hours or so to dry. This does take, according to the bottle, fuel cure time is 7 days. So the longer I can leave it off the car, the better, really. Some stuff there I've got to trim back, but I'm going to peel this off and then I will show you the results.
Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long.
Right, so as you can see, I've got all of the, well, most of the fall off on the back. The finish is quite nice. It's still quite like sticky and like tarry, but it's now solid. There's very little flex on the mount itself. There was some overspill onto the actual part itself, but these bits touch metal anyway, so I'm not really bothered about that. Like, most of it's off. Like, there was a fair amount of off-cut or overspill, but it dried fairly clear, so it looks somewhat factory, like somewhat sort of stealthy. You can see sort of like some fingerprints in that, but I think it's done like pretty well for what it is. It's a cheap little DIY solution. So I think just like a little cleanup like that with some solution, and it's pretty much, it's like a bit, it is very stealthy in my opinion. Like, if someone looks at that, you think engine mount, you wouldn't think, oh, that's polybrushed or anything like that. So like, this side's not obviously too great, it's come out a bit shit because the glue stuck to it from the tape. But I think with a little clean down, this should be okay. But that's the gearbox side done, more or less. Just need to go and get the engine side and drain all the oil out of that. I think it's oil filled. Drain all the crap out of that, and then polybrush that as well, and we're pretty much there. Right, so it's been a few days. It's now time to put the gearbox mount back into the car, which is simple as just doing the bolts up, basically. I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads, and that's about it.
Your blue eyes fade to grey as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Right, so as you can see, the new engine mount is in, and that is as solid as it can get. Now you can see there's still some wiggle, but that makes the car somewhat pleasant to drive to work in the mornings, so that should suit the application perfectly. All I've got to do now is put all of this stuff back, the battery and the actual airbox itself, and then I can actually replace, or I can actually install the engine side polybush mount. Now, if anyone knows how much of a pain in the arse these things are, I don't know why Volkswagen did it. I think it's just purely to piss people off, but soon the battery will be living in the boot, or the trunk as the Americans call it. So make sure you're subscribed for that, because this thing will be moved because it's in the bloody way all the time.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray. I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Right, so you can see everything's back in place here. The battery's in, and the air filter system, or the air filter and the heat shielding's back in. So is obviously the gearbox mount. That's all been torqued up off camera. All I need to do now is replace the engine side. Right, so this is the engine side mount. As you can tell, it's an oil-filled mount. It's got like a really squishy bit here. There's not as much movement on this one, but you can see there's still a significant amount there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this open, get all the oil out, give it a good clean so that the polyurethane has something to bond to, and then again get it all nice and straight up in the air and level, and then fill it up. Right, so I'm going to cut this bottom bit open. It's no doubt going to be messy, so I'm going to get a rag.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Right, so as you can see here, the top of the mount has been cut off, or the bottom, depending on where you're looking at, and it's filled with this lovely black oil, which has been in there for about 160,000 miles. So yeah, it's not the greatest. I've now just got to get all this out, drain some more into that little super cup, and then I'll be able to clean all of this out. I think there's another one in there, and there's another diaphragm there, possibly of oil behind it. It might be the donut to hold the oil in here, but we'll see. Right, so it looks to me there's a second diaphragm here. I'm going to cut through that because every time I squeeze it, more oil appears. And this little cut out here, I think it's all goes down in a spiral pattern, sort of enters here. So I'm going to cut that out, see what's behind it, and then go from there.
To watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Right, so that is all of the oil and all the diaphragms out of the actual mount itself. There's all the very black oil. It really smells as well. It's 15 years old and it's done 160,000 miles, so I reckon I'd smell as well after that. So that can go over there. Now I've just got to clean all of this old oil out with some degreaser.
Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
Once all that's cleaned out, and I can get prepared for pouring.
Smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to grey. I know you told your friend you're not okay.
Just use some brake cleaner to get any more nasties out there. Now just need to dry it and it should be ready for moulding. Right, so as you can see, I've taped the other end up. It shouldn't come through here, but I'm going to tape it up anyway. I now need to mount it upside down so I can pour the liquid into the actual void in the middle. So I'm going to start mixing the gear up. I'm just going to leave the camera running because this stuff starts going off very quickly, as I found out yesterday. So yeah, bear with me and I will set it all up. Right, so again, I'm going to be using part A first and then I'm going to be using part B second. The cup has a nice little graduation on it, so you can see, if you can see in there, you can see that there's A and B, so it shows you how much of each you need. So let's get on with that.
Never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay.
Right, so that's all completely poured. I've put a little bit extra on top in case it will shrink down somewhat. Not a lot, but a little bit. And if there's any more air bubbles that come out, that should account for it. So now all I need to do now is let this dry like I did with the gearbox mount and come back in an hour or so. Right, so this is a few hours later. It's completely cured. You can see there was some air bubbles and also my neighbour's cutting his hedge, so there's a bit of noise in the background, but there's less flex on it, but there's still quite a bit of flex around here. So I'm going to remove this tape because I don't think any resin got there, mix up a tiny little batch and then sort of fill that in as well. And I also need to trim some of the excess off as well where it's sort of dangled down.
I'm going through hell. I fake like I'm fine, but I know you can't tell. Like nothing I felt, my mind overwhelms. I think that I'm broken, but I hope you can't help. I know I'm not perfect, but some days I can pour more.
Right, so as you can see, we're all done. This is now a rock solid mount. It's still going off somewhat slightly. It's only been there for about an hour and a half, so it should hold up in the car. I'm not going to be driving the car for a little while, so it's literally just going to sit here to cure and then be put back on the vehicle. But as you can see, that is a lot firmer than it used to be. It will firm up more over the next 7 days because that's the curing time. Solid down here. A little bit of leak from 2 little holes either side of here, but that's all sorted now. So now all I've got to do is wait and then fit it back to the car. Right, so that's the solid engine mounts fitted to the vehicle. There's not a great deal to see other than down there. They're all fitted, taking it for a test drive. It is absolutely day and night better. I will do an update video, but thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.